Ethiopia used to share the largest coastline in the Red Sea for many centuries. However, in 1993, when Eritrea gained its independence, Ethiopia lost its coastline and became landlocked overnight. Hello viewers, our discussion for today will focus on this important national agenda of Ethiopia. My name is Aud Abdul Sabur, hosting this program with my colleagues Salamawit Tarafa and Zalalem Ibaltal. How important is sea access for Ethiopia in terms of its economic development and other related matters? Let's start this with Salamawit.
Okay, thank you. As you said, there are many landlocked countries in Africa. Among them, Ethiopia is one. There are 16 countries in Africa that are landlocked and that are separated from oceans and seas. And having an ocean access or sea access is very crucial. And we know that having a sea access will promote trade, and it will push us to join the global economy system. And additionally, it will have different cooperation. It will create different cooperations with neighboring countries, and it will boost a lot of sectors, including the economic, the political, and the social. And as you said earlier, Awad, Ethiopia is cut off from the sea access for about 3 decades, and it has influenced Ethiopia's growth in different and many ways. We can mention a lot of things, but when we talk about the legal system which a landlocked country can benefit from sea access, it is open and the question is legitimate. We can name a different economic importance. The first one is trade system. We know that our trade system is only dependent on the transportation system using the airway or else the Djibouti port. And this is not sufficient for Ethiopia. In general, when we talk about the economic importance, a country over 100 million people can sustainably thrive without gaining a sea access.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I think Salamawit has interestingly and incredibly explained the problem of lack of access to the sea. So as a landlocked country, Ethiopia is also struggling with economic challenge, the challenge in terms of trade, the challenge in terms of transportation, the challenge in terms of manufacturing and industrialization. It's all connected. So lack of access to the sea has created a hassle, multiple and complex problems for the country. Landlocked countries like Ethiopia trade 30% less in comparison with coastal areas, in comparison with coastal countries which can access sea. So the problem of lack of sea access is hurting and harming Ethiopia's economic growth in varieties of ways. So trade is among one of the sector which is highly hampered by the lack of access to the sea. The other is, of course, transportation. The transportation system. The majority of international trade is conducted and delivered through sea transportation. And that's why, because sea transportation is cheaper than the other mode of transportation. However, landlocked countries like Ethiopia couldn't leverage on this cheaper mode of transportation due to lack of sea access. And the lack of sea access has also created problem in terms of industrialization. Ethiopia has a long aspiration, deep ambition to become industrialized country. Over the past few years or decades, Ethiopia's manufacturing sector, Ethiopia's industry has also been booming, but it is critically hampered by lack of sea access. To move on to industrialization, you need to import goods, you need to import machineries from outside world, and you have to sell, you have to export your goods and your finished products to the international market, and you need that sea access to reach out the open global market. So in this and other ways, lack of sea access is critically hampering Ethiopia's economic growth and its development aspirations.
Thank you very much, both of you, for your in-depth explanation about the situation. You have mentioned how Ethiopia lost its coastline and also how it is affecting its overall economic development. Thank you very much for that. And the government of Ethiopia is advocating access to sea in a peaceful and diplomatic manner. How do you evaluate the overall reaction of the international community?
You know, the thing is, Ethiopia has been advocating for peaceful and diplomatic means to secure sea access over the last few years. But, you know, like we said, like we explained in the beginning, Ethiopia has been alienated from sea access for the last 30 years. But much of the history of Ethiopia had not been separated from sea access. Ethiopia used to enjoy sea access along the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden and all that. So recently, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, is advocating for peaceful and diplomatic means to access the sea. And as far as I'm concerned, such move from the government and people of Ethiopia is getting international recognition. You know, as a journalist, I had the chance to talk to various ambassadors, diplomats, and international figures. So the reaction that I'm witnessing is positive. For instance, a few months ago, I sat down with a Chinese ambassador to Ethiopia, Qin Hai, and I raised the question of sea access, how Chinese government and how Qin Hai, as an ambassador of China to Ethiopia, views Ethiopia's demand for sea access. And he said that he understands and his government understand the lack of access to the sea, how lack of access to the sea is, you know, creating lots of problems in terms of Ethiopia's economic and development aspirations. And of course, the government of China has hugely invested on Addis Ababa Djibouti railway. So that signifies the fact that China understands Ethiopia's quest, Ethiopia's demand for sea access. The other is, you know, I also made exclusive interview with French ambassador to Ethiopia, Alexis Lamek. And in our interview, I have realized that the ambassador understands Ethiopia's quest for sea access in a positive manner. Of course, French President Emmanuel Macron was here in Ethiopia some few months ago, and President also held discussion with Ethiopian Prime Minister, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, and the two sides, of course, discussed on varieties of issues, and one of the issue was Ethiopia's quest for sea access. And President Emmanuel Macron said Ethiopia's quest for sea access is a legitimate one. And recently, some few weeks ago, I also had the chance to interview United States Ambassador to Ethiopia, Ervin Masinga. The ambassador raised lots of issues, and one of the issues was, of course, Ethiopia's quest for sea access. And he said that Ethiopia's economy is growing incredibly over the last few years or decades. And Ethiopia has also seen burgeoning population growth. Ethiopia is the second largest populous country in Africa, and the prediction is that Ethiopia's population, together with its economy, will grow in the coming years as well. So with burgeoning population, with fast economic growth, in fact, Ethiopia needs access to the sea. That was the view of Ambassador Masinga, United States Ambassador to Ethiopia. And he affirmed that the government of United States of America and his embassy here in Addis Ababa are very much keen to support Ethiopia's peaceful effort, peaceful endeavor to secure sea access. So as far as I'm concerned, Ethiopia's peaceful and diplomatic effort to secure sea access is getting momentum, is getting recognition, international recognition.
Waterways are the main priority areas to develop, to even be a greater nation or to build a greater economy. So because of that, Ethiopia also raised this issue, and what the question is even said legitimate, and for us it is existential issue, and it is very crucial issue because of the population that we have, because of the economic growth that we are showing. Having additional port access is going to be beneficial, not only for us, but also for the Horn countries. Because when Ethiopia grows, even the Horn countries will be benefited in different ways. So having that mentality, I think the idea of requesting for sea access is being accepted through the international community and including the public as well, I guess.
Yeah, let me add some points on what Salamawit had to say. She has brought a brilliant idea. You know, she said the issue of sea access for Ethiopia has now become existential issue. I believe so. You know, Ethiopia now heavily relies on the port of Djibouti. For 80 to 90% of Ethiopia's import and export is conducted, delivered through the ports of Djibouti. And you know, Ethiopia is paying close to $2 billion annually. And this is unbearable, and this cannot be sustainable. So, in fact, Ethiopia needs to have a diversified, uninterrupted sea access.
Let us conclude our discussion. What do you think the best mechanism for the future will be for Ethiopia to realizing this existential agenda of the country?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so far Ethiopia has been pursuing and following the approach of peaceful and diplomatic means. Ethiopia is following the approach of give and take principle. You know, Prime Minister of the country, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, even suggested to offer some shares from Ethiopian prominent institutions like Ethiopian Airlines, Ethio Telecom, and the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which is going to be the largest dam in the entire continent upon its completion. So Ethiopia is suggesting to offer some shares from these important institutions of its own in exchange for port, in exchange for land to develop ports along the sea. So Ethiopia is pursuing give and take principle so far. And the other is Ethiopia is, of course, working to get sea access through regional integration. You know, Ethiopia is the largest populous country in the region, in the Horn of Africa, in the entire Eastern Africa, and Ethiopia has also the largest economy in the Horn of Africa. So the countries of the Horn of Africa, Ethiopian neighbors, can hugely benefit from Ethiopia's growing market, Ethiopia's growing economy. And more than that, the government of Ethiopia is also working to connect countries of the Horn of Africa, countries of the Eastern Africa. For instance, Ethiopia is, providing water, clean water for Djibouti. Ethiopia is also exporting electricity to Djibouti, to Kenya, to Sudan, and that's to integrate, to connect the region. So Ethiopia is working to get the sea access through regional integration. And Ethiopia is also supporting peace efforts in the region. You know, Ethiopia has sent its troops to Somalia, its troops to Sudan, to South Sudan. So Ethiopia is playing a pivotal role, a crucial role for the stability and for the security of the region. Ensuring prosperity and stability in the Horn of Africa has been a cornerstone of Ethiopian foreign policy because Ethiopia believes that the benefit, the prosperity of neighboring countries is the prosperity of Ethiopia, and in the same token, the development of Ethiopia could be development of neighboring countries. So neighboring countries, the Horn of Africa countries, the Eastern African countries need to grant Ethiopia sea access for mutual benefit, and this is very much in line with the agenda of African Union, like you rightly said, the flagship program of African Union.
We know that currently Ethiopia is contributing in different ways, as Zalalam said, in aviation services, in hydropower supplies, including we can mention the Lapset corridor. So these all are to integrate the countries to develop together and to grow together. So having this in mind, raising the question of the sea access should be accepted positively, and it will benefit all the countries. And this whole approach are going to be negotiated, and as well as in a diplomatic and modern way.
Thank you very much, my colleagues, for your insights on our important national agenda, which is the quest for access to sea.